What is up, entrepreneurs, mentors, people who want to better their lives? Did you know that the average millionaire has 6 streams of income? I recently learned that, and 6 sounds like a lot. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about creating different streams of income, specifically 15. And I'm super curious because I squirm at the thought of 6. So we're going to be getting into that. So if you want to increase your income, become a millionaire, create passive income to have more freedom in your life, this is going to be a great episode for you. And to do that, I'm going to have a really engaging conversation with a good friend of mine. Ash Kashexantis is one of the nation's top financial educators. He's been dubbed as the financial motivator and uses a culturally responsible approach in teaching financial literacy, wealth building, and entrepreneurship. He's a speaker, best-selling author of several books, and founder and CEO of Mind Right Money Management, a financial education company that blends psychology, music, and personal finance. Ash is best known for helping people maximize their full potential by giving them the inspiration, tools, and resources needed to live their best lives. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can create 15 streams of income through writing books. Ash, welcome to the show, and thank you for spending a few minutes with me and my audience.
Jay, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm always excited to impart some wisdom that can help people maximize their full potential.
Man, that's the goal here. And I started this podcast because I was having these types of conversations with people like you for my own curiosity, for my own personal development. So hopefully, not only am I going to learn a few things, but we're going to be able to give a lot back to the listeners here. So Ash, tell me, do you have 15 streams of income right now?
Absolutely. I've been writing books since 2009. And I kind of like stumbled across it because, I was a former banking executive and I wanted to just teach financial education. And when I used to go places and say, hey, book me to speak, they would be like, all right, who are you? I would be like, hey, I'm a former banking executive. They'd be like, nah, no, thank you. And so I realized that, even though I had done some great things in my life and in my career, people weren't interested in what I did before. They were like, yo, what are you doing now? And that's where I stumbled across like writing books and figured out how to create multiple streams of income from books.
Love that. So you went from banking, now obviously entrepreneurship and finance is your full-time thing, but what was that transition like? Tell me about your history a bit.
Yeah, so the transition was tough, to be honest. So, I grew up, low income. And so I never really had access to entrepreneurs. So I really didn't know, but it was in my blood. I was, packing bags at 8 years old at the local supermarket. I was selling mixtapes and T-shirts, as a vendor about, my teenage years. Got my first job, at a video store, rest in peace to Blockbuster Videos. Got my first job there. And then at 19, I started working as a banker. But I still had the entrepreneurship bug. So I, worked my way up, all the way to branch manager. I was a private banker, managed money for, wealthy individuals. And when I decided to leave the banking world, it was because I wrote my first book. And then I thought that, because I was going to be famous in my head, I was going to be famous. I was going to make a lot of money. I did make some money. I think my first year as an entrepreneur, I made $60,000. But I was already living a 6-figure lifestyle, right? I was making 6 figures in the bank. And so 60,000 wasn't going to cut it. And so I became a homeowner very early, bought my first home when I was 25. And so I almost lost my home. My car almost got repossessed. So it was a tough time. And Jay, it was tough because I was working hard for money. And that is if you want true financial freedom, if you want a millionaire lifestyle, that's the number one thing you have to do. You have to stop working for money. Money needs to work for you. And so because I was so reliant on my physical labor, when I stopped physically working for money, it stopped. But I'm happy that happened though, because it was a rude awakening and almost having to go through foreclosure. I went back to work and I, started buying real estate and things of that nature. And then now I said, all right, now, I'm gonna focus on income producing assets. And as I continue to write books, I realized how, content, your expertise, if you position it the right way, you could create assets from your content that can feed you for the rest of your life and even your family's life if you want it.
Love that. And I was so curious about your entrepreneurial journey because a lot of people hear passive income, 15 streams of income, and they think off the bat that it's easy. Now, I want to ask you honestly, how easy was it to build 15 streams? Did it happen overnight, or was it a journey? Tell me about that.
Yeah. My overnight success took years to manifest, right? No, it wasn't easy. Especially because it was through trial and error. So I had to figure out, I bumped my head and then figured out, all right, this not working. I think that the one thing I would say to anybody who is interested in doing anything, get a mentor, right? Get a coach, get somebody who's done it before. Because now when I take certain ventures, if it's my first time, I'll hire a coach, I'll hire a mentor. It wasn't easy at all. In fact, 2009, I wrote my first book. It wasn't until about 2013, 2014 that I gained like full financial freedom, where I made enough money in royalties from my books that I didn't have to work. So if I decided to not do anything, I made enough royalties from my books, and so it took a while to get to that point. At the point where I'm at now, is really just, creating higher level programs and subscriptions and masterminds and things of that nature that allow, money to, allow me to make money in my sleep. But there's definitely some ups and downs. There's definitely a lot of data gathering as well, because I think a lot of times especially in this age of social media, we look and we see all these successful people. We see people driving their Lambos and their big houses and things of that nature, but don't realize that they had to find their customer, right? And so, that's I think that's the most challenging part, is really just figuring out, like, who is your customer, right? Who is your customer? Where are they? What do they want from you? Not what you want to give them, too. A lot of people become entrepreneurs and they have this great idea to say, yes, I have this great idea. This is what I'm going to give my customers. And then you go out to the marketplace and your customers is like, no, I don't want that, And so the most difficult part is just like really trying to figure out who your customer is. But once you figure that out, then you serve them what they're asking for. Then you could create the multiple streams of income.
100%. We could probably do a whole episode on that, right?
Yeah.
I think I have before. But one important thing that you said is, for new ventures that you go on, you find a mentor.
Yeah.
And man, this is Mentors Collective. I've got hundreds now. Ash, you'll be one of them going forward. But listeners, man, if you're trying out something new, you think you want to go into a new stream of income, buy real estate, find someone who's done it before. It's easier than ever to connect with people. So Ash, one thing that I really want to mention and talk about is publishing a book. Obviously, you've had a lot of success doing this. As a PR agency owner, I've worked with a lot of people who have published books. A lot of them, struggling to find a publisher. Then they're going to self-publish. Then they're going to struggle to sell the thing. Then they're going to lose money on sending free copies to people. What was your trick to success for making money on writing books?
Yeah. Number one, almost alluding back to what I was saying before, is really, stop writing books that people don't want, right? My first book I wrote, I saw that there was a need for it, did well. Second book didn't really do that well because it was an idea that I liked, right? So, it was based on, me and my daughter. My daughter was 2 years old. I thought that, she taught me things about life. And so I wrote a book called Taylor's Way. That's my daughter's name. I wrote a book called Taylor's Way, Life Lessons Learned Through a 2-Year-Old, right? And I to this day, I think it's a great title, a great book, but nobody wanted it. Nobody cares. Nobody was like, nobody wakes up and says, hey, I want to learn life lessons from a 2-year-old. And so the book didn't do well. My third book, though, went up, skyrocketed. Why? Because I tested the market first. At the time, I wrote an article for MSNBC called "What the FICO: 5 Steps to Why Your Credit is a Curse." Right? and the article went crazy. The comments were crazy. Like people were like, "Oh my God, I learned so much." And then I said, "Oh, there we go," right? Because I learned through the comments that people didn't really know about credit. In fact, 7 out of 10 credit reports have errors on them. And so I wrote a book called What the FICO, 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit, because I knew that there was 44 million people in the country that had bad credit. And so I would say, number one, make sure there's an audience for your book, right? Number two, I alluded to it by saying I wrote an article for MSNBC. The way that you get people eyes on your book is to buy or borrow traffic. And what does that mean? That means that if you are an expert at whatever you do, right? If you're an expert at that thing, then find where your audience is, find like what media outlet are they on? YouTube? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they watching TV? What magazines do they read? Like really kind of dissect where your audience is, and then borrow traffic first and foremost, right? And so get on a podcast, do an interview on a YouTube, reach out to your local news station, because you'll be surprised, right? Local news stations, if you position yourself as an expert, they're always looking for people to talk about, content that's happening in the news. And so, borrow traffic by putting yourself out there. But then obviously there's other ways you can buy it, right? If you do ads, if you are, paying an influencer to, shout you out or whatever the case may be. And that was for me the secret, because, once I published the book, obviously I have a fan base, so my fans are gonna buy it. But how do I scale? How do I sell thousands of books? How do I get people to pay me to speak? And I just need to get myself in front of different audiences. So I say buy or borrow traffic.
I like that strategy. And you wrote the books yourself, or did you have them ghostwritten? Because actually we, as part of our service, help people with book writing and publishing, but it's usually done with a ghostwriter. So what did you do? Yeah,
so I actually wrote them myself. In fact, I spoke my book into existence, right? And so what I did is, I always tell people start with the end in mind, right? And so instead of trying to just write a book in order, just figure out, what does my audience want? I'm going to start from the end, and I'm going to highlight what steps is it going to take for my reader to get to that end result. And then the next step is really just dictating the book. You'll be surprised, and so with technology, it works so well. You'll be surprised how much words you can get on paper by just speaking it. So there's an app called Otter, Otter. That's a dictation app. You speak it, and then it puts it on the app for you. And that's what I do. So I pretend as if I'm having a workshop with people, and I'm teaching these lessons, and then I just speak it to an existence. And then at that point, though, if I don't have enough information, that for me is enough to give to a ghostwriter to say, hey, here's the bulk of the book. This is where I'm going with it. I just need you to add some more pieces, or you could add the pieces yourself. But the majority of the book is written through me dictating it. I think the shortest I've written a book is in 10 days, just from start to finish, really just by having a great outline, starting with the end in mind, and then dictating the book.
Wow. Amazing year that we live in. Otter.ai, great tool. You can just go on there and speak the book.
Absolutely.
And we use that tool all the time. It's awesome. All right, Ash, let's get into the meat of this thing. Now you got a book, you published it, you sent it to an editor, you designed it. How do you turn that into 15 streams of income, man? What's the secret?
All right, here's the secret. So I say this, right? It is important that your book or your expertise is connected to a higher level service, right? And if it's connected to a higher level service, that is going to allow you to create the multiple streams of income. So I'm going to go in order, right? So obviously, number one is your physical books. And so that's really just the book is done. So you make money off of the, physical book, buy or borrow traffic. Number two is the audio book of that, right? And so in the age of Uber drivers and, people always on the go, busy, you want to make sure you have an audio book. Number 3 is ebooks, right? And so somebody might say an ebook is different from a physical book. Well, you can actually take little chapters of your book and create separate ebooks out of them and sell them. And so I'll give you a quick example. I wrote a book called The Wake Up Call based on Jay-Z's 444 album. The Wake Up Call, has stories. It uses Jay-Z's lyrics and is a how-to guide. It has 10 steps to build generational wealth. Well, there are people who are like, you know what? I don't want to read all the fluff. I just want to know, how do I fix my credit? And so they will be willing to pay a higher price for you to just give them straight, the answers. And so my one book that I usually sell for $14.99 by itself, I can now break it down into small ebooks that, let's say I charge $17 for. And so now each of those 10 chapters become $170 in revenue that I can get. And here's because somebody might say, well, is that ethical to do? Remember, these are two different audiences, right? Those who will buy ebooks are not necessarily going to buy the book. And so I'm taking the same content from the book and I'm going to give the whole content away or sell the whole content to the book readers. But the people who are going to buy the ebooks are a whole different audience that won't even buy the book. Number 4, a self-study online program, right? And so if you have a philosophy or whatever your expertise is, people are going to want more, right? They're going to want more of you. And so you writing the book, they're going to read it, but then you should have, ways that they could, see a video of you teaching this and potentially give them some activities that they can do. Number 5 is live coaching. So if they want that accountability and they want you to help them, reach whatever outcome your book is designed to give them, they will get life coaching. Number 6 is a certificate program, right? And so now your philosophy works and you're like, I want other people to teach my philosophy and make money off of my philosophy. So I'm going to charge you a licensing fee or certificate, create a certificate program so that way you can, teach my stuff. Number 7, keynote. Right. And so people, based on your philosophy and what you write, people could book you to speak. Number 8 is content marketing. Jay, it's so much money in content marketing. This, right? Like I remember a bank hired me because of my book, What the FICO. A bank hired me, high 5 figures, to just talk about their secure credit card. Right. And that's because one of the steps in my book was to get a secure credit card. And so what better way to now, not only are they paying me to promote their secure credit card, but now I'm promoting my book with that. And so all of the national attention that they're giving me, I'm also getting book sales from that. Number 9 is live events. You could create live events through your book, whether it's book signings, whether it's workshops and things of that nature. Conferences. You can take your book and you can theme it around. You can have a whole theme around it, and invite other guests to come to this conference, and then you can make money from there. Subscriptions, that is the holy grail, right? Because when you think about subscriptions, think about, a gym membership, right? Somebody pays, not everybody's going to go to the gym, but somebody pays to get access to that gym. And so if you have a community, you create a continuity program, something that people are willing to pay for on a monthly basis to get access. The great thing about subscriptions is that once you do it, it's the one information. And then once you start marketing it, whether it's 100 people, 1,000 people, 5,000 people, 8,000 people, you're not doing more work. And so now the goal is just to increase the amount of people in that community so you can now have residual income on a monthly basis. Number 12, high-end coaching, right? And so somebody wants you one-on-one and they want you to coach them. You can charge them actually a premium. And this is the reason why it's important to set up all of these other ways for them to gain access to you, because once your hourly rate is at a premium, people will work with you through your other mediums if it's too high, right? Number 13, a mastermind. You get a bunch of, you get people together who you are going to work with in a group basis to actually get to that result faster. And they're willing to pay a premium. They're willing to pay $25,000, $50,000 because, they're saying, listen, I want direct attention. We're going to work as a group and we're going to get this done. Number 14, joint ventures. You might have a product or service. Somebody else might have a product or service that goes well together. You do a joint venture using your book and your philosophy, using somebody else's book and their philosophy, and you put it together. And then last but not least, affiliate programs, right? And so now you create a program in which you pay people a percentage to sell your products and services, and you do all of those things. That millionaire status is easy to attain very quickly.
Man, Ash, that was a great rundown and a lesson for anyone who's an expert out there and wants to give back and teach that expertise. We work with thought leaders all the time, and they're all, selling coaching services, selling information products. They're working on a book. They're doing speaking. But there are so many things, and you just mentioned probably all of them, that you can do to capitalize on your knowledge. I mean, this is like a knowledge economy. The more expertise and the more niche that it is, there are so many ways to make money and capitalize on that. So anyone who's an expert, you should really just rewind that, take some notes, listen to it all over again, because that was gold. And thank you, Ash, for sharing that.
No, my pleasure, Jay. My pleasure.
A lot of this I'm doing, a lot of this the listeners are already doing. In what order did you start attacking these 15 items? Because each one essentially is a different product, service, business, other than maybe the book.
Yeah.
I'm setting up a mastermind. That's a lot of work. That's a whole company.
Yeah. 100%.
Setting up an online course. That's a whole company. That's a business. So at what stage do you start attacking these things? Sorry, I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I think the best place to start is the course, right? Yeah. And the reason why you start at the course, because the course is going to be the anchor that branches that everything else is branched off of, right? And so if you start at the course, and let's say it depends on how much you want to charge for your course, but let's say you created $1,000 course, right? That $1,000 course now is once you create the course one time, you can focus on that and you can scale that, right? Because if you have a if you have $1,000 course and you just sell that to 100 people, that's $100,000, right? And so it's something that's well worth it. But then now when you have this course as the anchor, now when you write the book becomes a promotional piece for the course, right? You can actually write the book, and in the book, you're directing people to a website or some place where they know that they could get more information with the course, right? And then once you write the book, you can have the audio and the ebooks and things of that nature. You have other products and services, but then from the course is where the course has your philosophy. So from the course, you can now start focusing on your certificate program if that's what you want to do. You could create an affiliate program, for your course that people could sell your course to get, more money. Again, masterminds and high-end coaching and subscriptions and conferences and things of that. All of that stuff should be based on philosophy of your course. And so I would tell anybody to start with the course first.
I would agree with you. And guys, what he's describing here is a value ladder, right? You don't need to do this all at once. You need some information product to sell them that doesn't take your own time every time that you sell one, like a pre-recorded course. Then you need some way to get them into the course, whether that be the book or marketing. And then you start building out from there. You've got the live events, you've got the group coaching, you've got the one-on-one coaching at a premium. So again, write this stuff down. It's important. How long did it take you, Ash, to kind of break through the glass ceiling, start driving people into your information products, into your coaching, into your masterminds? Was it a pretty quick thing once you started hitting the ground running, or did this take you a while to make that first sale and then finally grow and expand it?
Yeah. It definitely took a while because I came off when I started my entrepreneurship journey, it was all about financial literacy, right? And so most of my clientele were really focusing on low income, people who wanted to learn how to manage money. And so, people were used to getting my information for free or low cost. And so when I made that pivot, I had to literally sort of reintroduce myself to the marketplace so that they could see me now as an expert in business and marketing and publishing, and not just the financial literacy guy. So I would say, from like 2009 to about 2018, which was the first time I put out an online course, was 2018, was when, I started to kind of, gain strides and really reintroduce myself to the marketplace. And then the great thing about it is that now, I'm able to do both, right? I'm able to, be seen as an expert. And one of the reasons why I'm seen as an expert now is because I'm not the only success story. Right. And so I would tell anybody who is getting into this space, find somebody who's ambitious, find some people that are ambitious, some people that you can coach, that could get some results very fast, right? So I have, one client I worked with, sold over 10,000 books in 10 months, made over $200,000 following my methodology. I have a client that when she started working with me, she was making six figures. Now, she's a seven-figure earner through using my philosophy. And so for me, it was really about getting that success story, because people will believe like, oh wow, okay, you did this for yourself, but can you teach me, right? Are you a good coach? And nothing says that you're a better coach than to have other people be successful. And so it did take a while for me to really shift that around and be seen as the expert. But once I got my first few success stories, then it became easier and easier, because now all I have to do is promote my students, and then people will, connect with me and my product offerings.
Yeah, it's a good point. Getting your first kind of case study is probably the biggest hoop to jump through to break into this thing. So cool. We spent a lot of time talking about how other entrepreneurs can be successful creating information products, scaling their value ladder. What is it that you chose as your niche to enter into this space? Who are your ideal clients, and what do you offer them?
Yeah, so my ideal clients are influencers, coaches, entrepreneurs, anyone that does have expertise that wants to create multiple streams of income from that expertise. Because I've been a self-published author for over 10 years, understanding how to buy or borrow traffic, how to get publicity, how to write the right book, because that's also important too, right? Not all books are going to sell. So, does your title work? Does your cover, like all the things that come with, producing a right book, but then also social media, right? So I have a big following on social media, and I teach my clients how, I have a 13-step process called Content is King. And I teach my clients how to be, create content that is shareable, that's savable, so that way they can increase their income and their impact. And so, so I work, mainly influencers, especially too, a lot of people are trying to, be taken serious. And, the number one thing, Ash, how did you get verified, right? Like, how do you get a blue check? And the one thing I'll say is that, the more and more you can get other people to talk about your expertise, not just you, not paid advertising, but if you get third-party sources to talk about your expertise, then these social media outlets will see you as an expert, and see you as somebody that needs to be verified, and that verification can actually help you sell more products and services. And so, I work with business coaches and influencers and anybody who has expertise who wants to learn how to max out their income.
Cool. So anyone who's an expert that has an information product they want to build or sell, you can help them do that, scale it, and build that value ladder. Very cool.
Absolutely.
What is kind of the right trajectory? So say you have an expert, or someone's coming to you asking for help, and they have an expertise. Say it's me and it's medicine, and I want to create a course on, men's health and becoming more energetic. What would you tell me is the next step to start? Like, how do I get on board with you? How do I enter your world?
Yeah, and so I would say first, it's really about making sure that we're the right fit for each other. There's two ways. I have a 5-day challenge called the Max Out Your Income Challenge. And what I do in the challenge is really just teach you my methodology for 5 days, right? And really just say, all right, here you go. This is what it takes for you to be able to max out your income and become an expert and make, and create multiple streams of income. And then from that point, after you spend 5 days with me, I then have an application that you would have to fill out. And if you qualify, then I would work with you. I have, so far, I've been able to help clients make 6 figures in just 2 months, and so that's without and again all results aren't typical. I think that it really depends on your hunger. It depends on who you are. It depends on what you bring to the marketplace. This is why there's an application. I just don't work with anybody. And that's to be 100% transparent. I just don't work with anybody because, I want more success stories. Right. And so if you apply, if you spend 5 days with me, you'll get a good feel for my personality. I do not accept excuses. I'm going to push you harder than anybody has ever pushed you. But at the end of the day, me pushing you is going to benefit you, and you're going to do great. And so, based on that, if you're the right fit, we can hit the ground running. And so, the best way is to go through the Max Out Your Income Challenge, which is a 5-day challenge, and that's available at maxoutyourincome.com.
All right, appreciate it, Ash. And for those looking to join the challenge, I'll drop a link in the show notes here, so you don't have to search too far. And obviously, if you're going to be an expert and you're going to sell information products and crush it like you are, you probably got you're on social media, you're doing that whole thing. Where is the best place to reach you? And where are you most active?
Yeah, so you have a website. Everything is available on my website, IamAshCash.com. You can follow me on all social media platforms at IamAshCash. I'm the most active on Instagram.
All right, beautiful. And Ash, I forgot to ask this question, but I end every podcast with it. You're a mentor. Obviously, you've had plenty of mentors in your journey. You have an expertise. We need to surround ourselves with mentors digitally and in real life, I think. And I have a lot of people that I look up to in my space that I follow on social media. I watch their YouTube videos. If they say to do something, I pretty much do it. Who is that person for you, specifically digitally? Who do you consume content from and trust on a professional level? And then I want to hear a book recommendation that's really changed your life.
Yeah. So first, my mentor is Myron Golden. Myron has been in this digital space for a very long time, has a lot of success, has been around some of the big wigs, in this game. And so he's definitely my number one guy that I go to, both digitally and in person. So I've actually invested in his mastermind and program. And so, I get access to him directly, but then also just kind of watching and seeing what he's doing online has really, helped build my business exponentially. And if I would give you a book recommendation, this book is going to change your life. I don't know if they're ready. Jay, you think they ready?
They ain't ready. I'm not ready. Look, but hit me anyways. What is it? U
Squared by Price Pritchett. Have you ever heard of the book U Squared? U Squared is going to change your life. So U Squared talks about how to take a quantum leap in your business. So literally, it teaches you how to not do the most logical and obvious thing, but to do the thing that doesn't seem the most obvious in order to maximize your full potential and take a quantum leap, right? The great thing, the book is literally like 40 pages, maybe 35 pages. It's not a big book, but I promise you, anybody listening, Jay, when you pick it up, You read this book, it will literally change it's going to change your life. It's going to change how you view business. It's really going to allow you to know, how to take that quantum leap. If your goal was to make 6 figures in a year, well, that quantum leap says make 6 figures in a month. You want to have $1 million a year? Well, let's have $1 million a day, right? It really kind of reframes your mind in order to take that quantum leap. And when you take that quantum leap, you'll be able to, live in abundance, right? Because my church says abundance is your birthright, and so everybody should be living in abundance, and this will help you do that.
Those are awesome recommendations. Myron, I've heard speak. He's a genius. He's the man. If you haven't heard of him, go check him out. And U Squared is one I haven't heard of. Short and sweet. And after that review that you just gave, you better believe I'm going to go pick it up right now and read this thing. So thank you, Ash. That was an awesome episode. I'm pumped to have you as a mentor going forward. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And you guys reach out to Ash if you need help. You're an expert. You're looking to scale your information product or get into it for your first time. And feel free to reach out to me as well. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And Ash, thanks for spending some time with me, man.
Appreciate you, brother.